fellow dreamers, and welcome back to the Dreamers Life podcast. Hey, in today's conversation, we're talking about stopping. Is there ever a time when stopping is actually the best move forward? It's an interesting conversation. Let's get started.
This podcast is a presentation of Pioneer Dream, celebrating 30 years of moving stories for our corporate, nonprofit, and entertainment partners.
Dreamers, what is up? Welcome back to the Dreamers Life podcast. Hello, Anjanette.
Hey, what's going on today?
It is a big day, big week.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff going on. We're fresh on the heels of our last Dreamers Live event, which is at the balcony in the center. I almost said the balcony on the center, but it was really the center balcony.
The balcony of the center.
And it was
so cool.
Super cool. We had a great turnout, great crowd, great humans.
We did.
And it was a great venue until about the time we started. I was so impressed when we showed up and I was in the parking lot and I looked up at the massive balcony and I was like, oh, dude, it's all in the shade. This is perfect.
Yes.
And then you're, of course, obviously elevated, being the balcony.
Well, that's typically what balconies are.
Okay, we'll be elevated, so that means a breeze, and I get the sun off us. This is going to be perfect. And we got up there, and it was really, really nice. Did a whole setup thing. And then the crowd started filling in around 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And about 5:30, the sun shifted just in such a way that it became a direct spotlight of heat.
It was,
on me. And I was just
a strong September
sun.
sun. Yeah, we even had everybody, so there were like shade patches up there.
Yes, right.
So we had everybody that was there for the event. We made a joke of it. And we're like, hey, everybody just pick up your chairs and we'll move to the shady patches.
There's no reason for us to all be hot. This is all good.
So we did that, except for the area that we'd kind of set up for a stage or like a focal point was just in the blazing September sun. You were sweating.
And
it was hard to watch.
most people were sitting low enough that they kind of were in the shade line. But man, and it was intense. But
you endured.
Even so,
yes, it was really fun.
Great time.
Yeah, shout out to Hannah and then Caitlin Kramer at the center for working it out for us to be up there. It was really cool. Yeah, cool spot. We'll do it again, maybe just when it's a little cooler.
Well, and speaking of doing it again, we do have a Dreamers Live event for all of our regional listeners coming up in October. It's October 24th. Cool. It's a Friday night, and it'll be at Cooper Mill Brewery, who have been gracious hosts to us in the past.
Yeah, it's really fun.
It's always fun to be in that space, and we always have a great crowd, and it'll be lively. And
looking forward to it. And
we may actually end up doing a live podcast that night.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
And I always like it when we get to do the events around the holidays. So I'm going to guess it'll be kind of spooky and decorative. And there'll be pumpkins involved. I know you love pumpkin spice.
I don't.
Hopefully they have a pumpkin beer.
No. Fall is my is my favorite time of year, and it's the most wonderful time of the year.
It is.
But I don't do the overkill on pumpkin. I don't like pumpkin mixed with anything outside of maybe sometimes food, like pumpkin bread.
Pumpkin pie
is great.
But
pumpkin pie is amazing. But do not put pumpkin in my beer. I don't even love pumpkin in a candle.
No, why?
My daughter has been jonesing so hard for fall that
since like August 1st.
I caught her this morning. She was in her bedroom. The door was closed, and she was just hotboxing, autumn candles. And I just, oh wow! And then, if you don't know that, places like Bath and Body Works, they have this whole line of candles, which they actually call intense. And so if you light, this is like a 3-wick candle, which is amazing. And really 2 wicks more than you really need.
Yeah, the 1 wick is plenty.
And you could be outside parking the car and you could smell that candle.
Yeah, and she had an air freshener going too, and I was like, babe, open it up. The fall fumes are going to get you. So we had to tamper that down a little bit.
She's so on it. And it's pretty intense.
Yes. We will have some pumpkin in October, so put that on your calendar. Pumpkin for Jay.
And so please make plans to be there. Also, we did a really funny episode of of Got 'Em in Mini podcast that was just released today, and there's two really funny things about it. One, the storyline.
If you don't say so yourself.
If I don't say so myself, and I do, it's a whole thing about being an emotional mute, and then the 5 love languages, and it's and what happens if you don't have one. So it's that part of it, and then what really makes it special is of course, on the Got a Minute podcast, we do a humor column, and then we pair that with an original song, and then you come on and you give us, 60 or 90 seconds about how the song came to be, the origin story of the song. And so it makes you appreciate the music even that much more. So in this case, it's a song that has not yet made it into any release we've done. So it's a song called Beautiful Mess. It's a really great song. It's unique because it also kind of goes, at least in the way we recorded it, towards the country sound a bit. And that's not typical for us.
I mean, it's not really the way that we recorded it, but I remember recording that one as a demo when I was working on trying to submit some songs to a songwriting service.
Right.
And they're always looking for country ballads.
Yes.
And so we it's not really one, but it could be produced that way.
Yes.
But anyway, I could sneak it in as a country song. That would be my one and only.
But it hasn't made it. You'll never hear it anywhere else, or you won't hear it anywhere else. Haven't been able to hear it anywhere else.
Yeah. There's still hope for it. Someday maybe someone will.
So up until this point, except for on this podcast.
Oh, that's cool.
Anyway, if you get a second, just go to your podcast provider, or whether that's YouTube or anywhere else, iTunes or Spotify or whatever, and then just type in "Got a Minute" mini-podcast, and you'll see our beautiful faces on the artwork, and you'll know that's the one. And then this episode is called Love Languages /Beautiful Mess.
And they're like about 15 minutes.
Oh
it's
my
like
gosh,
a little
yeah,
short.
they're great. You could listen to them on your lunch break or whatever, or running errands or whatever. It's pretty cool. But anyway, this one was particularly funny, I thought.
Maybe I should listen to this one.
You should, yeah. Just to know how the story goes.
Okay,
so,
that's cool.
So I think that's it on all the announcements and stuff. But a lot of great things happening this fall, and we're excited about that. We will be doing some kind of thing in December. We don't know what that's going to look like yet, but we'll figure it out. And then
festivity will be afoot.
Yeah, it will be happening. Yeah, right. Absolutely. So I want to give a pre-warning as we head into this conversation.
No, I hate it when you have to start with a preamble.
We're going to talk a little about not so much current events, but the response of it. And I just want you to know that we're not going to talk about current events because there's plenty of it, and everybody's heard it. And so this is your escape from all those things.
From the news and your news feed.
Yeah, so there's no reason to get into all that stuff because you're facing that on a daily basis, and that's kind of the topic of this thing, which is, we've been 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks into this little thing. It's funny because we have been in a season for a couple of years now where you're thinking, well, this is rough, but it's going to get better someday. And then somehow it takes a little turn to the –
our country's going through.
We go around the corner and you're like, what? There's another level of this? And then
it's safe to say our country's going through some tough times.
Yes. Maybe these are our teenage years, and that's why it's so awkward. But
maybe that's it.
Yeah, and so in the last couple of weeks, we hit a different level than what we even knew was possible, and that's been impactful in a lot of different ways, and it has affected all of us in a lot of different ways, and in some ways, it took what is easy to perceive as a divide in our country, and just really exploited it and really expressed it in a way that sharpened it. And you're like, oh, okay, I didn't even know.
Yeah. I feel like it went from like a line in the ground where there was a little bit of a fissure to a full crack.
Yeah. So like if you're in a relationship together and maybe there's some underlying angst or there's some underlying frustration or anger issues or something like that. Yeah. And then suddenly you have an issue that just pulls all of that to the surface and exposes it and takes it deeper. It takes the wound a little deeper. Then that's kind of where we are as a nation. So,
and part of what we try to do on this podcast, boy, we both have the allergy throat. I'm so sorry, everyone. Hold on.
Right now, though, it's kind of got me in the sexy voice. It's got the Betty Davis size voice working over here.
Oh, I've been waiting.
So 3 packs a day.
So exciting. Yeah. But part of what we try to do with the Streamers Live podcast is we talk about living intentionally, which means a lot of times means pushing against the norm or pushing against the flow and trying to be decided about how we might react and how we might be helpful in this time.
And that's really what I'm hoping we give you today. In a sense, we've been in this experience because the events over the last couple of weeks have been so, monumental and big and have really captured a large segment of the population, both, in our own country and abroad. Mm-hmm. We've had to have, we've been in a lot of conversations about this and about these issues. And we're in a lot of conversations with people who don't necessarily think the way we do or agree with us, or we don't agree with them, or vice versa and all that kind of stuff. And so, even when the conversations have been peaceful and kind of a back and forth, the end result is like the next morning you wake up with a hangover, and not for the right reasons. Right. and so you just wake up feeling fatigued and beaten a little bit,
especially if the people you've been in conversations with, which oftentimes we avoid real difficult topics with most people, right? Like we were always taught to not talk about, like we were going to like religion, politics, and the Great Pumpkin.
Yes.
Speaking of, Linus would say, but you do find yourself in conversations with people that you're closer to that are trying to debrief and work their way through these situations, because that's, what's going on.
And a handful of times you're in a conversation and someone will say something and then it's, is my face on straight? Because what you just said, I hope I'm not, because if my face is expressing what's going on in my heart and mind right now.
Right. It's good.
Because you're like, did you really say that? Like you really mean that? Did you really say that? Like that's what you really believe? Are you really denying reality right now at this level? And we're all keeping a straight face on this?
One of the things that I'm grateful for in my upbringing, which is I actually have really done a lot of work to be an authentic person.
Yes.
So I don't mean that I go around acting, but I did grow up in theater and doing public speaking, and there's some training in there that comes from being able to hold your face.
Right.
And being able to act a little bit. And I've acted my way through some conversations, which is good, like game face. And some people don't have one.
We're very intentional, and this is who we want to be. At being a bridge, at connecting people, and not allowing these things. I won't. Personally, let either side of the political party steal the country from me. Right. Personally, I don't want one party, whether it's the left or the right, to tell me that I am not a true American or a true patriot because I don't fall in line with them.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it. And then, so we have made we do a lot to try and be a bridge in that process. So a lot of times people feel really comfortable around us to express their views, and they will assume that
we agree with them
like I think, because
every time.
How could you not? You're so accommodating and cool and fun and loving, and how could you not? You obviously believe like I believe.
Yeah.
And so it's really funny when you're there and you're just having to, you might have your hand in your pocket and you're pulling your leg hairs to try and keep your face from falling off and saying, "Are you kidding me? What are you talking about?"
And that's the thing, because we do know a lot of people, and we are in a lot of situations. I swear to you guys, we get extreme conversations on both sides.
Oh my gosh.
And we're stuck in the middle with you, and so it is pretty funny. One of the times we were having one of these encounters this week, both of us were there.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of times I will have to not look.
Listen, and there's probably been 10 of these in the last 14 days.
Yeah, if you happen to be one of our friends, you're thinking, we talked about, no, this has just been, I can't even pinpoint
Non-stop.
which one.
Right.
But sometimes I will have to not look at you.
Yes.
Because we know each other so well. Like I don't think I would laugh. I think my game face is pretty good. But I know you well enough to know what you're dealing with when you're having that talk.
There's a whole lot of non-committal responses. So, and you're there and someone's saying, well, this, and then that's how this person is being controlled by aliens because X, Y, or Z. And all you can do is go, huh. Yeah, okay. Right. Okay.
Aliens.
And that's all you can say, you know. Well, that's why there's so many of these things happening, and that's why the UN is this, and that's why this is this. And you're like, interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Well, we've been working on those. Well, that must be really fascinating for you.
Okay, I could see. Yeah,
I can see how
you can't even. But you can't even go to the go-tos anymore. You can't say things like,
"I can see how you would get there,"
because no, I cannot. So,
oh man. So what do we do?
So what in this process, we have these conversations, and even when you think the conversations are healthy. Like, okay, this is good because I am seeing a perspective I haven't seen before. I think that's really healthy.
And I want to be willing to listen.
I think that's really healthy for me personally to see that. And then also, maybe somebody else is being exposed to some other perspectives they're not used to and didn't even know existed, because a lot of us are so entrenched and so believing that our side is right, that the idea that it's not is a really foreign idea, foreign concept.
That's very interesting.
Or that the other side happens to be humans who just simply see it a different way than you do, because we're taught right now, or commanded right now, to believe that someone doesn't just see things differently than you do. Mm-hmm. They see it differently than you do because they're full of malice, because they're intentionally evil people, because they're trying to sabotage the country and steal it from you.
Right.
And so that's the part of the diabolical part of it, which is that it's no longer just people who don't see things eye to eye or whatever. It's because they're evil, and we're being pulled and pushed to do that.
And we've talked about it before. We're being weaponized.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And I'm not going to do that.
So, when the conversations are good conversations, healthy conversations, conversations that need to be had, you can still wake up the next morning with this kind of really heaviness, and in the case of the last 14 to 21 days, it's almost like a physical pain. You feel like you've worked out in a way that you haven't worked out in a while, or you like you just started running last week or something and thought, let's do 11 miles and see how it goes.
Yeah, I told you yesterday, I think I came into the office and I was like not feeling right. I was like, physically there was like, man, I'm feeling really weird today. And then we started talking through it for a minute. So I was trying to figure out, what the deal was. And then I was like, oh, this is anxiety.
Yeah.
Like the physical symptoms of anxiety, which a lot of people really struggle with on a daily basis. And I am fortunate to only visit there.
Right.
If that makes sense. Just in my makeup, I have other struggles, but anxiety is not something I tend towards. So we talked about that, and I was like, that's what this is.
And what's interesting for us as a people group is that, typically that kind of anxiety is a personal level. There are things happening for me in my finances or for work or in my family or whatever, health, whatever. And and there are some things that are beyond my control. And so the end result of that is anxiety.
Yeah.
What's changing for us is that anxiety level is spreading now to national events, international events. Those things are so on us and with us that they're actually introducing anxiety into us on a personal level.
That's exactly right.
And so my question is, is it okay to tune out?
Yeah.
Is it okay in this season, in this place that we are right now, to just turn off and tune out a little bit, and at what level?
Right.
Because of the impact it has on us.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you say that, because we don't normally talk about what we're going to talk about before we come on, and we'll have an idea maybe. But I feel like it's okay right now to not know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And normally we want to be aware of, because we care. But for me right now, especially if you're sensitive to that, I mean, like it affects me physically.
Yes.
To not know the details or even the specifics, it's helpful to me. And it's very specifically helpful to me right now. I made the mistake yesterday, dang it. I was doing something for work and I had to hop on social media.
On the socials.
Yeah, which I don't really do unless I'm working, but you're still going to see everything else while you're there. I found myself sucked in very briefly, and real quickly you start to see other people's reactions and the things they're saying, and I was like, I need my inhaler. I mean, it was like...
Yes.
Yeah. But
right.
and so I thought to myself, normally I wouldn't be like completely shut it off.
Right.
But we do have tornado sirens. And if there were a gun raid, there's like the emergency broadcasting system. So if something that's going to happen, we're going to know. But for me, I think right now, tuning out is better.
It's the healthiest thing you could do.
And a lot of it's because I want to continue to love the people that are putting their opinions up.
Right.
And so when I know how they feel or things that they're going to say, or it doesn't help me treat them well.
Right.
It doesn't help me believe the best about them, and it doesn't help me love them. It's better in a way if we're going to try to, like we talk about, believing the best about someone and their intentions. Sometimes it's better not to know.
Right.
I mean, do you find that?
Absolutely. I mean, I've spent the better part of my history on social media unfollowing people, not just because I disagree with them or have bitterness to them, but because what they're posting makes it difficult for me to love them. Yeah. Makes it difficult for me in my own weakness to not judge them.
Yeah, that's right.
So I can say intellectually we all have our opinions and that's fine and we should be able to have those opinions. But when you're confronted with them at the level that we are on social media, it makes it very difficult because it's tinged with other stuff.
Yes.
So, yeah, I have spent most of my time on social media just quietly. I don't make a big protest of it. I don't notify the person, hey, I think you're a jackweed, and I'm no longer subscribing to you, bucko.
How about this one? This is one of my favorites when people do the social media post, which is like, okay, guys, like I'm taking a break off of social media.
It's not going to be on social media for a while.
And so because of all of you guys, this is bad for my mental health. And what's funny is I know some great people who've done that. And I totally get it. Right. And but it just makes me laugh. It's just sort of like just check out. You don't have to tell everybody.
Based on what we do, obviously we do a lot of promotion for Dreamers and for all the things that we do, and that's kind of a love-hate thing that we have to do, and it is a lot of work. And so we subscribe to certain services that allow us to do email and phone messages and all that kind of stuff to let people know, we're going to be doing a Dreamers live event here, or hey, we've released a batch of new podcasts, and here's some podcasts you might really enjoy. Yeah. Some topics you might really be interested in, and we just kind of keep connected to our people group.
Right.
And it's a great service, and it allows us to, gives us templates and all that kind of jazz. Well, it also tells you, okay, well, this percentage of people opened your email, and this percentage of people hit the links that you did.
Does it really?
And then it also says, and these people unsubscribe to you. And I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need to know that my aunt no longer wants my emails.
That is.
And I'm like, hey, just if you want to say this is how many people you're connecting with and emailing right now, that's great. But don't tell me who specifically said no, thank you.
And if that was you, anyone listening, we still love you. It's okay.
I'm going to keep sending them to you anyway. No. So funny. So I got this impression for me personally, after one of these significant conversations, I thought, okay, right now, anything but politics. I'm not gonna not know what's happening. Everything that is happening right now is big enough that you're going to get wind of it, in conversation and otherwise. And I thought, for me personally, I need to make a decision to really reduce and limit my time on news sites and my time on social media. Okay. Because
which you already do, but you're talking about
this is even more.
We're bringing it back to we're tuning out.
Really, yeah. And so, I have been really intentional about so for example, a lot of times when I don't, when I get home and you guys are doing something else, maybe I'm working on dinner, if that's my night to do that thing or whatever.
You are the better cook.
But I might watch the news while I'm doing that because I'm mostly alone and it's a moment to kind of collect, here's what's happened today.
Yeah, that's your little habit. Yeah, if you're down there 30 minutes.
The other day, I got there, I already knew what the events of the day were. Yeah. I know what's happening. I know where that thing is going. So I just told myself, you don't need to watch that. Because right now there's enough happening that is so difficult that it will significantly impact my emotions, significantly impact my thought process and make me mad or scared or anxious or whatever. And so I can think to myself, okay, I'm going to allow myself to check in, with a trusted, non-biased source, not commentary, but actual news.
Okay.
I'm going to look here at this time, and then that's that.
Yeah.
And then same thing with social media.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to be on there that many times a day. And the times when I am on there, it's pretty easy to see in a blink of an eye where a post is going or what it's trying to do. And so I can choose just not to read those.
Yeah, that's true.
Regardless of what side they're on, But it starts for me by I'm choosing to tune out by drastically reducing in these weeks how much time I'm spending on any of those things.
There's this interesting sort of a pervasive feeling. And you know what, the truth be told, in my opinion, what it really is good marketing. Mm-hmm. It's this concept that if you're a good American,
right,
and you're a good citizen, and you care about your family, and
1 for 3,
so proud of you, then it is your civic duty to be very in touch with everything that's happening.
Right.
I would agree before an election. I would agree at certain times it's going to be important to really be tuned into what's happening to make good decisions. Yeah. But I think there are people, and I think, to be honest, I think it feels like if you find yourself in a season where you have more free time than you've had before, which we don't find ourselves in that season, that sounds nice. Right. But it can almost become, to certain people, like keeping up with the news, almost like a job,
a duty,
or like a duty is a good word for it. Like I've got to really be in the war room, knowing exactly what's going on in case somebody's going to get over on me. Yeah. Is this idea, and that's just not true. Like I said, it's good marketing. You're going to be okay to step back from that, and it's so healthy. It's going to keep you from hating others.
Well, and we did talk about this very briefly at Dreamers Live on last Friday night at the end, where I just wanted to remind the people there that, we're kind of living day to day in the world that we have created by our votes, and our votes are every point and click. Yes. So if you go to a news site a lot, that's a point and click. Yes. When you go to the stories on that, that's a point and click. When you're on social media and someone posts something and you point and click, all that says repeatedly is, I want more of this.
Send me more.
Yeah. So if you think the current president or the last president are jackweeds, right? One or the other, however you subscribe, and you click on the stories that help solidify that or help reinforce that, they're going to flood you with more of that. And so what we're left with is more angst, more anger, more finger pointing, more finger wagging, and more supporting evidence for this thing that we already believe. So that's right. Are we getting, quote, news? No, we're not. Yeah. We're getting supporting evidence for a thing we already believe. Yes. And there's no opportunity to grow in that. Mm-hmm. There's no opportunity for reality in that. Yeah. There's no opportunity for unity in any of that, or anything that would support us as a nation, as a citizenry. Yeah. All that stuff is meant to do is, A, give us what we're asking for as a customer, but also to divide. And the brand is based on fear. Fear is the brand.
Absolutely.
That chaos is the brand. That's what we do.
And we used to say, we studied journalism in different forms, broadcasting and advertising. We kind of had different specialties, so to speak. But we used to say sex sells. But the truth is, it's fear that sells. Right. And by the way, the companies that are tallying your clicks, our clicks, what we're showing interest in and sending more, what is their motivation? It is to make money. Right. And so we have to
and they make money
that.
By keeping you on.
Keeping you on and keeping you in fear.
So they the more that those companies, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the news sites, right, they make money by keeping you there. That's why
and fear keeps you there. You're going to miss out on something.
That's why all the cable news, whether it's Fox or CNBC or CNN or whomever they are, That's why they do these hour-long commentary shows.
Yeah.
That's not because there's, that keeps you on. If they do headline news all the time,
you've got it.
And they used to, and they give you the headlines and they tell you all the stuff quickly in 15 minutes or even 30 minutes, then you're gone.
Yeah.
But an hour-long show with outrage, okay, and where they keep teasing you that, hey, in the second half of the hour, we're going to be talking about this, so don't go anywhere because you don't want to miss this conversation with so-and-so, and that on and on. Or then the other thing they'll do is tell you, well, God, you got to tune in because if you don't tune in, the other side's going to get over on us.
That's it.
The other side's going to win.
So you better be watching all day long.
Right.
And I heard something super interesting this morning. It was listening to something that was not political, actually, and they were just talking about, you might think that our natural response to fear would be to, I don't know, cower or cry. What's our natural response to
Rage,
fear?
anger. Mm-hmm.
And it's and if you think about that, it's when we get angry, it's because we're afraid for ourselves, for our family, for our children, for our values. And it's very telling. And so that's what they're spending all the time.
This is a very interesting question to ask yourself in a conversation. Especially when someone gets animated, is to ask or doesn't agree with you, if they're, quote, on the other side, what is it that they are afraid of? Yeah. Because in a way, knowing that will give you a certain level of empathy, compassion, understanding, insight, and think, oh, okay, this person is. So I found this interesting in the last 2 weeks. A story came up. And in the picture, was one of the memorials for one of the people that, all the people that have died in the last couple of weeks. And so it was, a naturally occurring grassroots memorial that just got set up and this, that, and the other. And then there was a sign on there that said, thank you for, being our voice when we couldn't be heard and this, that, and the other. And then I thought, oh, if you take that photo, you could put that photo with about 5 different stories from various sides, and it would fit because both sides of our bipartisan community culture feel they're not being heard. Yeah. Both sides feel like they are under attack. Both sides would tell you that the core values of America are being taken away. Yes. Both sides would tell you that, that they're out to get us.
Well, and that's the irony of this whole thing is that we all fear the same thing. And what we're fearing, no matter what side we identify with more, is that things as we know it are not going to be protected. Right. That the country as we know it, that our family, that everything is going to be taken away from us, that we have known.
And we all fear that. What's new for us now is that we've had a partisan political scape for a while. We've had a partisan culture now as a result of that. And what is new now is we have partisan governance. Yeah. Which is new. Yeah. And it's happening across the board, and it's happening on both sides, but it's really, really pronounced now. So where governance now no longer talks to us as a nation, but they talk to only their viewers or only their tribe or only their followers.
Gone are the days where you would have a political office and your job was to unify. You would say, well, we fought against one another.
We were all Americans.
Election,
let's do this together.
Let's work together, and here's what we're going to do. Yeah, that's
and that is not happening anymore. Right now. I don't know if we can get it back. I sure hope we can. But that partisan governance is calling on us, is resulting, I think, or demanding that we as citizens take up the reins. We as citizens make the choice that we make decisions that we can no longer wait or have the confidence in our governance to do the right thing. So we're going to have to choose to be neighbors. We're going to have to choose to be kind. We're going to have to choose the path that we want. Yeah. And so, like for example, our little Dreamers Club at the middle school last week, we ended by saying, who is the future? What's the future of America? And these 6th, 7th, and 8th graders said, we are. Yeah. And I said, you need to figure out what kind of country, what kind of city, what kind of community, what kind of country you want to live in. And and that's on us too.
Yeah.
What country do we want to live in? What part of this do we want to live in? Because there's plenty of wrong on both sides.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't feel like that to each of us, but there is.
It was interesting with the kids last Friday. That was good timing because we didn't talk about anything. We don't really talk about about politics with them. A lot of times we talk about feelings and what it's like to be a middle schooler and how you can encourage other people. Right. But I was looking around at that group, and because a lot of them are our daughter's friends or people that we've known, I mean, and kids often reflect what they're being taught at home. I mean, that's just how that is. But you could not have had a more diverse group of people, age-wise, politically, people going through all sorts of situations.
Right.
And yet, when we spoke with them and started our discussion, they listened to each other. I could tell that some of them were uncomfortable a little bit with each other because they didn't know one another. We mixed them up, basically.
Yes, right.
But they were respectful.
Yeah.
They listened, and they tried to hear and not be afraid. And it was cool. It was encouraging after a week, to see that.
Yeah.
And there's definitely still hope for that. And I guess talking about all this today, my question to you, if I can pose one, is what are some things that you could recommend to help us be voices of reason?
Well, it starts with this other question that you and I were talking about. I think is it okay to tune out? Yes. Yeah. And because the reason I say that is twofold. One, my decision to limit this has directly impacted my emotional and my intellectual well-being.
Yeah.
I'm healthier, not watching that all the time. I'm healthier, drastically limiting what happens there. I'm not losing any information. I'm not less informed. I know all the things that are going on, but I'm limiting my exposure, and that's really, really healthy for me emotionally.
So number one, tune out.
but two, it dials all the emotions back.
It does,
when I get with specific friends of mine, I can tell you within 30 seconds what they were doing before they saw me. And it's almost always they got out of the car having listened to X, Y, or Z, or they were watching the morning show on one of the channels or something like that, and they're so angry, and then they want to repeat the talking points from the show.
Yeah, and you're like, I just called to say I love you.
Right, and so tuning that off means I'm less likely to do that to somebody. Means I'm less likely to resent somebody because I didn't just get 59 minutes of how that person, because they belong to the wrong side, is really an idiot and angry and they're trying to ruin America.
Right.
So the tune out is important for that. And then, it is okay to tell someone or ask someone, hey, I'm so happy to see you, but is there something else we could talk about? I just am overloaded. And, and so in my other relationships, I am going into those conversations and times with them because we know how important it is to be social with people.
Yeah.
I'm going into that preloaded with some conversations.
That's good.
That are not in any way related to politics.
Like
or any way
diving board questions where you just, instead of,
so tell me about whatever. How's your this and this?
Yeah. Are you looking forward to the holidays? Are you guys doing any traveling? I was talking with somebody. I mean, that is a good way to go into conversations where you're going to see people and set the tone.
Right.
And there are things that we can be unified on. Or tell me what your kids are up to. So I think right now, if we're living intentionally, because all this stuff is in the air, we almost have to be ready. It's almost like before you go into an important meeting for work, or for us, if we're getting ready to go sing or you're getting ready to go speak, that we're going to take a moment before to get right, to center and say, what can I do to bring light and joy in this situation? So I love that idea. And then I do think it's okay, like you just said, to politely and kindly redirect the conversation. I've had to do that. I've had to say, gosh, I'm so worn down. Yeah, is there something else we can talk about? Tell me, da-da-da-da. So maybe you start with some jump ball positive questions and let that direct the conversation. And should it go back, I think it's okay to lovingly redirect.
Yeah, or you could ask, you can ask the question, which is, can be loaded, but Gosh, is there any way that you think we could unify as a nation again? Is there anything?
Yeah.
What do you think are the things that could bring us together again?
Yeah. And I think a third thing, I love this. Like if we were going to make a list to be a voice of reason, I think being okay to tune out or taking the responsibility to tune out,
right?
Being able to direct conversation in a positive way, and I think a third thing is keep us all keeping in mind that we're all afraid of the same things.
Yes.
And that compassion comes when you say, the way that I feel, this person on the opposite side of the aisle feels exactly the same.
Well, how many times
way.
have we said they're just as scared of your America as you are of theirs?
Yeah, it's true.
And the reality is they're just as scared of your extreme America as you are of
their
theirs.
Extreme.
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
It's the media heads that propagate that, and
that's
it's
right. And for money.
It's the 5% on both sides that are getting the microphone.
Yeah,
that's not how most of us feel.
No, let's be. It's so funny. I was thinking about this quote, and I realized it was made by a politician, but I think it was on SNL. Let's be unificators.
Yeah, right.
Let's be unifiers.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the choice right now.
You can. I mean, that's the thing about it that's amazing is each of us has that power. When we talked about a couple episodes, how to be human, and we talked about the situation where you show up to a meeting or a coffee or something that you've been invited to. It's going to have multiple people there,
right?
And you walk in, and maybe there's a couple of people already there, and they're waiting, and they're just on their phones.
Yeah.
And whoever is called this meeting is not there yet, so kind of waiting on that, and that's just it. And unless you say something or do something, you would just sit down and get your phone out, and then it would be the 3 or 4 of you just sitting there.
Yeah, on your phones.
Within 2 feet of each other on your phones. But what changes when you walk in and you say, "Oh, hey, I'm Jay Webster. So, what's your name? How'd you get here? How do you know so and so? Or what's this?"
Yeah.
And you start asking questions, and so each of us have this power to redirect things, to change things, to bring light into something, to bring shine into something, to change where something is going and make it brighter or more positive or more life-giving.
Yeah.
And we don't all have to sit back and just think, well, this is where this is going. I might as well just pile on. You know?
Yeah. And now more than ever, we need to try to do that. It takes some sacrifice. You're not going to get to say the things you want to say.
Well, it's a little bit, and I know this seems funny to say, it's a little bit like quitting smoking or quitting a habit.
Yeah.
So I've found in the last, several days, I've had to do that. I'm used to, I have, as we've talked about before, I have to put my phone away.
Yeah.
I have to go put my phone
physically
take it away from my side, which is difficult because I use it to email myself reminders and all that kind of stuff all the time. But it's okay.
There's always a notepad.
That's right. So I've had to, and there are various times in the day where I'm used to going to social media or and so, if that's been a problem for me, I've had to do ridiculous things like play solitaire instead. If you're used to the phone being there, well, play solitaire instead of going to social media.
Yeah.
Or play numbers match or whatever it is you need to do. And I don't think that's healthy, but it's not as unhealthy as doing the other stuff. So instead of going to the news site, instead of going to social media, but you have to be really intentional and say, okay, I'm only going to give my phone 15 minutes a day on these things. And I'm going to use 5 now. Maybe I'll use 5 at lunch just to check in and 5 later today. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to hold myself to that. And if you have to call somebody or email somebody and get into a pact with somebody and say, hey, let's agree this together that we're no longer going to, we're going to spend 15 minutes max on social media throughout the whole day.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Same thing with news. I think, if you want to check in at the end of the day and see what the events of the day were and give yourself either watching a news program or checking it online, that's really important. And I think, the other part of it is, when we've had some of these conversations with people and you introduce some other information, about people or parties or events or whatever, they look at you, like the Labrador with the hilt to head tilt. What? Because they're not even aware of all the other information because news providers are the gatekeepers. They're letting you know what you can know and what you can't know. So part of that also is getting your news from multiple sources. Go to go to the other side and listen for a minute. Go to the other side and see what's being said.
But in a brief time,
yes,
period.
Or go to the things that are the most neutral, like AP or something like that.
Yeah.
The AP Wire or something. And quickly get your information. And, you can gain most of everything from a headline or the first paragraph and know essentially what it is. You don't have to saturate the whole thing. But this thing about shutting down, and I'm just telling you, the amount of emotional restoration you'll get is really significant, and you'll be healthier, and you'll be in a better place to do the other stuff. And then, like I said, they're not going to pull the wool over your eyes. You're going to know what's happening.
I think that's interesting that we talked on the last podcast about the whirlpool, and then at Dreamers Live last Friday.
Yes.
I think this is a good place that brings us to, I think we're all stuck in the whirlpool of all this information, and you need a hand out.
Right.
A lot of times, somebody to help you do that. I love the idea because we talk a lot about community and the importance of friendship. And even it's a word that gets overused, but it is a good word, the idea of accountability.
Absolutely.
It's easy for me to say, I'm only going to do this 15 minutes, but what if you had a friend and you say, I know this is affecting me. What if we took the next couple weeks and we just checked in with each other?
Or you give, like you and I have done this for each other, you give your spouse permission to ask you, do you need to be on your phone right now?
Yeah.
Or can we all agree to put our phones over here right now?
Yeah,
or,
definitely. But making a pact is a good way to do it. So
absolutely.
I like that. We can be voices of reason, and we can bring light, and we can be the ones that bring relief from it. So let's do that.
Yeah. I think it's okay too to be honest with ourselves and to check in, like, how is this thing that I am involved in right now, that I'm watching or that I'm reading, how is that making me feel?
Oh, yeah.
What is the end product of that? I'm on the socials. Mm-hmm. I've been on here for 10 minutes. How would I describe how I feel right now?
Do I feel better? Do I feel more joyful or more angry?
Is this adding to, or is this taking away?
Yeah.
Because they kind of do one or the other.
Yeah.
Same thing with the news program. Is this adding to, or is this taking away? Is this making me better, or is this making me angrier? Am I really getting something out of this that I really desperately need, or not?
Yeah.
And if not, then maybe we just don't. Maybe we just choose to limit that and move forward.
Yes. So, I will find a pact partner.
Now, if that's the do not, then obviously this podcast is the do, guys. Oh. So give up on everything else, but keep listening to Dreamers Live, because that's
we hope that we are giving you some reason and motivation to keep bringing light and joy into the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, we'd love for you to keep listening, and we'll do our best to do what we say on this, and to keep looking for ways to help.
Too.
Yeah, for sure. So it's good.
Okay, friends, mark your calendars. October 25th, Cooper and Mill for all our regional listeners.
Yes, come on in, make a road trip.
Oh, it'll be great. I think we probably will do a live podcast that night. It'll be a lot of fun. And you could be in the audience for that. Maybe you could weigh in on some stuff. We'll see how it goes.
And if you come in from out of town, Jay will buy you a pumpkin spice beer.
Oh, he probably will not.
I'm ready for pumpkin spice season.
I might buy you a beer or something.
There you go. I love it.
All right. So till then, friends, we love you. We're for you. We can get through this together. We can be light and change. And we can have peace in our lives. We just have to live intentionally to get there.
There you go.
All right. Peace out.
See ya.
Thanks for listening. We'd love it if you would like and subscribe to the podcast, and then share it with the people you know. We want to include as many people as possible in the conversation. Also, be sure to check out our Got a Minute mini podcast, which pairs funny stories with original music all in about 15 minutes. Thanks! This has been a production of Pioneer Dream.